My thanks to Keith, CleanTech Connections, and to the Arizona Commerce Authority. My congratulations to them. What they're doing is really quite remarkable, and I really do congratulate them what they're doing. My name is Joe Stanislaw. Hello. I'm probably not going to give you what you want at the end of the day. I'm going to be provocative. For me, sustainability has been around for a very long time. It goes back to Buckminster Fuller, if you know who that is, Fritz Schumacher, Small is Beautiful, and a man you probably don't know, Kenneth Boulding, a Scot who immigrated here and wrote about grant societies and about these things in the 60s and 70s. It has a new term now. It's called sustainability. We're living with it. I was going to start by saying the transition started in 2006. It didn't. It started about 1975. But a major culture shift is taking place now, and tectonic shift is taking place now in how we think about the world around us. We have two more generations to drive this thing called sustainability. It's going to take that long to really get someplace, and then it'll keep going for us. We won't call it sustainability in 10 years' time, I'm sure of that. We're going to call it something else. But it's with us, has always been with us. It's how we manage our resources sensibly, with common sense and with value. I use the word value, not with cost, with value. Because part of my game is to tell the world we're going through transition from cost-based economics to value-based economics. A very big difference. What do we value? And let's reward that. Not what it costs. What do we value? I like quiet. I don't like noise, for example. Some of the world doesn't like CO2. It's worried about climate change. What do we value? We want to have a better world for our children and our grandchildren. The best business dimension of sustainability is the grandparent principle. And that's what sustainability is. How my grandchildren can say about me, or about each of you, I left the world a better place. How's that for a definition of sustainability? That's what it should be. Now, I'm not a traditional speaker. I don't have a storyline. I don't have a conclusion. I'm going to say, here's what it is, draw you along and say, here, I got you there. I'm very James Joycean. Do you know who James Joyce is? Hands up. Anyone ever heard of James Joyce? Well, good number of you. And he provoked you in his writing. Sometimes you don't know where in the hell you are, primary language. But you get someplace. And he makes you get there on your own. That's what I want to do with you. I want to provoke you. And to do so, I'm going to challenge my host. I'm not anti-oil. Your introduction is very anti-oil. I don't like them and us. The world needs all of us. Secondly, the head of your organization just left. I had to show you my cards. I advised the governor of Ohio pro bono, because I'm from Northeast Ohio. Had one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. And was the wealthiest sphere of wealth creation in the world for 75 years, now on its back. And I'm doing this pro bono for him because I'm from Northeast Ohio. I haven't lived there for a very, very long time. But I'm trying to help him bring jobs to Ohio. So I'm in competition with you. But we can be partners too. And that's what you're all about. It's partnership. It's a new, different business model to get to tomorrow. That's what we are. For me, sustainability is energy. You cannot have anything in this world without energy. There's no water without energy. Think about it. There's no sanitation without energy. Think about it. There's no agriculture without energy. Think about it. There's economic growth without energy. But we can do it differently. And think about energy differently as we go forward. Now I'm going to throw you some questions in a second. Conventional wisdom. I dislike conventional wisdom. And thank goodness for the Arizona Commerce Authority, because it's challenging it. Conventional wisdom says, and has said, some still say it, that if we address sustainability, climate change, energy security, and energy, we will limit economic growth. We will limit economic growth. That's nonsense. The real issue is if we do not address them, we'll destroy the planet, and we'll definitely limit economic growth. So that should be the conventional wisdom. We have to address these things because it's economic development. It's a new definition of economic development. It's my value-based economic development. But we have to start thinking that way and tell everyone you know to think that way. I've been harping on this for a long time. I'm getting slowly where I want to get to. And the younger generation is buying it because they do think differently. They aren't stuck in our paradigms, or at least my paradigm when I grew up. The world's changed. And think about energy again differently and sustainability. And we're in a transition, underline, we're in a transition to someplace else. I don't know exactly where we're going, but we can shape it. And we can drive it. And I think all of you are going to try and do that yourselves. I'm trying to do that. But, you know, we don't know where we're going, basically, but we can get there if we think carefully about it. Every major transition in history has been led by change in energy form. Think about it. We're in one right now, and I'm going to give you the answer towards the end, but it's not what you're thinking might be the energy source. It is going to reshape us. Now, some questions. Who knows where the largest oil well found in the United States was in the 1970s? Largest oil well found in the United States in the 1970s. Anyone know where that was? No guesses? North Slope. North America, sorry. North Slope. You're wrong. We got to think differently. Detroit, Michigan. Now, why do I say Detroit, Michigan? Because of Mr. Nixon and Mr. Carter and Mr. Ford, we created CAFE standards. We dropped the curve of oil consumptions in automobiles by 3 million barrels a day. It took 7 years, but it happened. That's as good as finding an oil well, if you ask me. It's actually better than finding an oil well. Who knows which country in the world celebrates every single year in September the oil and gas industry? Any guesses? No guesses? Russia. Russia. They call it Oil Man's Day. They meant Oil People's Day, but Oil Man's Day. It's a huge national holiday in Russia. Who knows which country in the world is a major oil exporter, may become a very much less significant exporter, and heaven forbid, maybe no exports. Who knows who that country is? Saudi Arabia, absolutely right. If Saudi Arabia doesn't change its ways, it will be using 7 to 8 million barrels a day 15 years from now. They only produce 11.5. When I started in this business, and I won't tell you when, it was a while ago, they weren't using very much oil at all. They now use 3.5 million barrels a day, produce 11.5. They use all that for transportation and for electricity. If they don't change their ways, they will be using all their wealth to use at home. Think about the Arab Springs. Money to address some of these issues is gone. Very big issue. Saudi Arabia is transforming itself as I speak to use less oil, to be probably the biggest domestic producer of solar energy in the world, if not wind, to get off oil for electricity. That's major. That's major. Then the final question, you all know the answer. Which country and which region could be self-sufficient in energy? United States. Well done. Could be. Can it be? Will it be? Different issues. It becomes I'll just read the term I have for it, the license to operate. Do we have the license to operate these fields? Now stop there, I'll go on. For me, clean means clean, cleaner, clean again. It means solar, wind, geothermal, biomass, etc. It means oil. It means coal. It means gas. How can I say that? Because all those 3 traditional fuels are working on the principle of how can I reduce my carbon footprint of what I am. And there are technologies for those fossil fuels, driving them to reduce their footprint dramatically. Some even capturing it all before production up this part of the world, capturing it in the ground and keeping it there. That's oil, gas, and coal, working on those. Is it here today? No. Will it be here tomorrow? Well, if tomorrow's 10 years, no. If it's 2 generations, I think it could be. We are in all the forms of the clean energies, whichever you want to call them, because everything is going to be clean. We're at 1.0. That's solar, that's wind, that's geothermal, that's cleaner oil, cleaner gas, cleaner coal. We're going to go to 2.0. That's going to take a while. 3.0 will come faster. 4.0 will come faster again. What I've just described to you, going from 1.0 to these different point O's, is Microsoft. Wealth creation, economic development, new technologies, new science, employment, new companies, new industries, new innovations. That's the game of sustainability. And the other game of sustainability is, I got to be in business. I want to sustain myself as a company in this path to a cleaner world so I can be in business to help solve the problems. If I can't stay in business, I can't help solve the problems. Now, not everyone will stay in business, clearly. We all want to try. We all have something to contribute and something to give. But if I don't stay in business, I can't do it. I need to create wealth. And I'm very left-wing, by the way. I say we got to create profits. A lot of left-wingers don't like that term of art, but if you don't create wealth, you can't solve a problem. Soviet Union is a perfect example of that. If you don't create this wealth, we can't solve the problems. Therefore, we have to do it. Now, let me give you an example of real technology. And I'll give you my punchline. The real winner, the real enabler of the future is technology and innovation. That's what all of you are. My starting point, shale gas and shale oil. Now, my host doesn't let me say oil and gas, but I'm saying oil and gas all the time to prove a point. It wasn't the gas. It wasn't the oil. We've known about this stuff for 75 years. What made the shale revolution? Who knows what made the shale revolution? Fracking. You're absolutely wrong. Absolutely, horizontal drilling. Wrong again. What made it was U.S. property rights. Why do I say that? Because a lot of my most precious term is crazy technology entrepreneurs. I say that with the greatest respect. It was a bunch of oil people who had stranded assets in that shale oil and shale gas who couldn't monetize it. But they had the legal right to monetize it. Because in the United States, you can own the mineral rights all the way down to the center of the earth. So they wanted to monetize this stuff. No other country in the world has that property right that we do in this country. So that took a bunch of wildcatters, crazy technology entrepreneurs, who then took horizontal drilling and took fracking and said, maybe this will release my value because I'm sitting on these leases, and if I don't produce, I'm going to lose all my asset. So it wasn't the gas. It was U.S. property rights and how they took innovation. They took the two things and put them together in a very innovative way with IT and software to make it work. That's what caused revolution. That's my 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 concept. And that's going to happen to every single supply source, every single source of how you use this stuff. Because for me, energy is how you use it, how you don't use it, how you produce it, and how you manage it. Think about how you manage it. IT, software. We have the ability today to manage how we use energy and how we manage all resources to a degree we never had before because of IT and softwares that can actually collect the data, we can analyze it, and we can use it. We never had this ability before. I created one of the first research groups in the world at the University of Cambridge in the energy area. I was a physicist and engineer back in the mid-70s. I was a young kid, by the way. They robbed the cradle when they took me on board. But we had PhD students who were running around factories trying to collect data. We didn't have the systems to process it. Most companies now don't really know how they use energy. They know how much they pay for it. They don't know how they use it. Is it for steam generation, heat? Is it for powering equipment? And most things in the factories or in the office buildings aren't used at rated efficiencies. Well, that's not managing resources very well. What can do that? They have this term called big data. I don't like the term, but softwares and IT allow us to do that. Then you combine that with something else. I grew up in a world, and all the textbooks were written about zero-sum game economics. That's the 20th century. Just forget that term of art too. It's gone. We're now in the 21st century, and it's called win, win, win. I still don't know how it works. But everyone wins. and everyone makes money. Now, I'll give you an example in my case. I helped two young guys create a little company. I encouraged them to do so. And they, like a lot of people, they created these softwares that go on your phone. Well, they could manage my electricity use at home. The program. I just tell them what I should, like when I go to bed, when I don't go to bed, that kind of stuff. Well, they save me money. They help the people who provide my capital equipment to help me with my equipment. They make money. I live in Massachusetts now, although I'm from Ohio. I live in Massachusetts now. You can't build a power plant in Massachusetts if, God save you, can't build one. That helps the state out because they need to lower consumption to have more electricity because we have very high cost electricity. Everyone wins. Everyone's happy. That's the new business model. We have to apply that every place. Also, we have to change the thought process. Ask the right questions. I know there's some people in the architectural world in this room. When I started out in this field in the mid to late 70s, we thought holistically. That was Buckminster Fuller. That was Kenneth Boulding. That was Fritz Schumacher. It was one big system. Look at how many people develop housing projects that cut all the trees down, rather than saving the trees and placing the house in the right place. Think about that. Simple things. We have to think in a different way, holistically. That thought process disappeared from the world after 1980 came. It died after 1980. It's coming back. We have to think that way. It's back to basics. That's what native people did. It's back to basics. That's where we are. It's not rocket science. It's just thinking things through as we go about it. Back to basics. Now I'm going to stop in a second. So the final element of this new world we're looking at is what I call the power of one. Now, someone mentioned it about me, I guess. I've written and said, this next 2 generations, there'll be more investment to create this new world, sustainable world, which for me is energy. I have a big definition of energy, than has been invested in the history of the human race. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of opportunity. It's unlimited what we can do if we put our minds to it. Then we have the power of one. That's my cell phone. It's data. It's information and how we use it. This is the first generation in history of the human race where every single individual can make a difference for the world. We've never been there before. That's a mind-exploding thought. You've got to think like a global citizen. That's also a challenging thought, where we push so hard on national boundaries. So it's the power of one. It's the game changer of enabling technology and innovation. It's also thinking locally but globally. Locally embedded and globally connected. I have 1 minute and 20 seconds for questions. Any questions?